Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are in the world. Yes, it's me, Daddy Dragon, otherwise known as Graham Moore. Live. Gary, he's back. I am back indeed. Well, actually, I was back last night, but it was I was a bit tired last night, but don't forget though, over the next 3 weeks to 4 weeks, this is going to be a bit up and down because one, I'm moving. And once I take everything down the strip, I'm going to be living like I don't know what, because I've got to pack everything up, and then I'm going to need help from people to come in and give us some help with getting the heavy stuff out, taking it to the dump, keeping some of the good stuff. And I'm looking around me at the moment, but I've still got to pack up stuff in back boxes, put it in there, and I'm going in. Listen, I'm not complaining. A lovely little tiny cottages, right? It's already furnished. I want to get out of London, right? For the first time ever, I've said, that's it, enough's enough, right? And the next step is the only way, in my opinion, you would ever extract yourself from what's about to happen in this country is on a boat, right? On the ocean. That again, it's my personal opinion. And I think people should understand what's going on here. And you're now seeing it, right? Everything we've been telling you, you've been absolutely betrayed. And I want to make sure everyone is clear on this. It's not just the politicians that's betrayed you. Just as in the past, the judiciary has betrayed you. At any time they had authority to step in and they haven't, they are 100%, right? I want you to understand this, 100% contributed to subverting the Constitution of England and destroying the rights of the people of England, the subjects of England. So is this monarchy, right? It's not just the politicians. This is literally the trustees of our rights, and they are trustees of our rights, which is the separation of powers, the monarchy, the judiciary, and Parliament itself, both sides of Parliament. All of it's been infiltrated. All of it is subverting our rights. And that's part of what I'm going to be talking about on Saturday at the Thetford Freedom Festival, right? So come along to that. I'm going to be speaking there on Saturday. I'm going to be there for the events on Friday. I'm actually leaving to go there tomorrow. So I'm hoping to pop round, see my dad, make sure the car's all right, and then I'll zooming down to the Angel Inn, so where I'll be partaking in their Real Ale Festival as well. You've got to have it, right? But I'll be staying sober for my event on Saturday, although I might partake once I've finished, and I'm not being asked too many questions, right? So up and coming seminar, 18th of July. So I'm actually, again, all the information is being put up in the chat. It's in Norfolk. It's just outside Thetford. There's a few people talking about. I'm going to bring up another one on the screen as we speak, but I have to be a bit careful with this.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning, everybody. So I'm just going to put. You should know this man. He's again another great guy that I like. I like everyone. All the people in Norfolk. They just need to get an understanding back about their constitution, and I'm hoping that they finally, the penny drops with them and they realise. And don't forget, the Constitution of England does not mention race anywhere once, right? It mentions religion for obvious reasons, right? Because Protestant Christians were persecuted. But I am going to try and show you this and put it on the screen before I do anything else. Let me come up there. Hopefully you'll be able to see this. I'm going to have to put that microphone down there out of the way a sec. Not microphone, but hopefully you can hear this all right. Let's see if I can get it up on our screen. I've got to share the sound. pull that back up on there, and hopefully you'll know this, or you'll know this person. Here we go.
Good morning, everybody. So it's upon us. The 18th and 19th of July 2025 is the inaugural Thetford Freedom and Truth Festival at the Larling Angel near East Harley, near Thetford. And it's quite an event that the organisers have put on. We've got speakers ranging from local right through to very well-known international speakers like Graham Moore, John Gilbert, Chris Thrall, and the like. There's also live music throughout the weekend. You've got the Larling Angel pub, which is supplying lots and lots of local real ales and the like. They also serve food. They've got rooms to rent, and there's also camping. What I'll do is I'll pop the link in the comments below for the event, and I'll also add the two lists of the Friday.
Are you getting echo? I'm getting loads of people saying they're getting echo. If you're getting echo, let me know. I've put these things on. You shouldn't be getting any echo. It is strange if you're getting echo. Are you getting echo? In that case, I won't be able to put that on. If you're getting echo, I don't know why you're getting echo. Good evening. If you're getting echo, I won't bring that on. Gone now. Right, let me carry on playing that.
And Saturday speakers and itinerary, so to speak. So get yourself along there. It's very cheap. It's only a tenner a head for the whole weekend, so affordable to most. So it should be something else. The effort that the guys have put in putting this together is quite phenomenal. You've even got Brady from Australia, the guy that set up the stand in the park that went across Earth. It spread across the whole world. So yeah. So get yourself on there, get yourself a ticket, turn up, and just have a good weekend with some good like-minded people. And for those of you that aren't like-minded, you may learn something on the way. Have a good day.
Right, so let me stop sharing that. I've got to make sure I don't hit the wrong buttons on here. Let me have a quick look and see what that is. Oh, hang on a minute. I'm being asked questions on my moving date. Let me just make sure I've got this. Let me have a look. 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 I'm looking in my diary. What is the 30th? Yeah, the 30th. The 30th is the day that I've actually put down on there, which is a Wednesday. So the 30th is the day that I've actually put down for the move, right? I've got a seminar on the 29th. Sorry, I've got a seminar on the 28th, which is on a Monday. The 29th, we're still preparing. On the 26th, I've got my Starlink being taken down, which reminds me I've got to try and sort that out. And don't forget, on the 25th, which is the Friday, we've got the court case. So the 30th was the day. We're actually aiming to do it. And hopefully that's it. I've still got to do some other funny things in the background. I haven't uploaded something, which I need to upload in a minute. After the show, I need to upload the tenancy agreement, which I haven't done because I only got it yesterday. Let me have a quick look. Right, is everyone understanding that this Friday, this Saturday is the Thetford, right? So tomorrow night, I'm going to be hopefully at the Angel Inn, right? And then I'm going to try and do a live and show people. It'll probably be on my phone, which I'm not sure if it's going to work properly in connecting, because it doesn't connect to this channel properly, but I will try, right? and then just show people where we are and what we're doing. And then on the Friday, so I don't know whether to bring any recording camera equipment, everything. I probably will, just to make sure that we can charge as much as, and when I say charge, I mean I need all my charging stuff if it's out and the thing. So I'll have to bring my battery packs with me, etc. But we should be able to do it, and I might even be able to set up. I might even be able to set up my Starlink, mobile Starlink, and see if I can do some of that. But I want people to attend, right? One of the issues is that if you try and transmit these live, people don't come, right? So it looks to all of a sudden you get, like loads and loads of people supporting on YouTube. That's not the same as actually being there. I'm not suggesting that everyone can afford to get there, but people should be able to try and get there. Sorry, I cannot be out this week, away for the weekend. Have a great time, G. Thank you. Tracy, Truism, hiya, Ancient Sakek, and see who else is out there. Good evening all, Adam HC. So don't forget, what's really important about tonight is hit the like button, right? It does help with the algorithm. I haven't seen our resident troll. I've no doubt they're out there. The resident troll ain't out there at the moment, right? Which is people who basically don't particularly like me. That's not difficult, is it? Right. Hit the like button, share as much as you can, because the only way this is getting out, this is a freedom of speech platform, meaning Rumble, but the channel is moderated, right? So if we get lots of people out there that disagree because they're ignorant of the difference between a common law union and a statutory union, right? What we try and do now is explain the difference. And even A.V. Dicey agrees. But, right, because I've got his book and he's like, he went from being a unionist, in meaning statutory union, to being ardently against it, vehemently against the political union, because he knew it was damaging both countries. And that's what we're talking about, and that's what's happened. Who could possibly dislike you, DD? Listen, babe, honestly, I'm just one of them people that these. I don't know who they are, but well, I do. They're trolls. I even have trolls that try and get in my pants sometimes as well. Right, I have to be very careful of that. Being a single man, right? Let me have a look. Hello to you, Milking It and Jenkins. And just to make sure everyone's aware, I have not got a harem, right? It doesn't exist. Not that I'd want one. Who'd want more? Who'd want that type of egg? More than one woman on a firm. Fuck that. Right. Merlin is out there. Roger Roadkill. Just to make everyone aware of what's going on. So let me have a look. Let me push this in there. I think it'll be on its way to you on the 30th. Right. Again, we'll have to have a discussion about that. It needs to be as early as possible. Not as early as possible, is because we're taking some stuff out of here, parking it on the back of the vehicle, taking it to the dump. I've no doubt I've got to pay for it to be dumped, which is possibly going to cost me a fortune. And all good furniture as well. All because of regulations. This stuff is good because it hasn't got a fire ticket still on it when it's 20 years old, but hardly been touched. Right, good proper leather furniture. DD, whether you are liked or not, you are the only one out there that's got the solution for us all. Taffy back, yeah, I know, and I think that's part of the problem. They absolutely detest the communists and the fascists, and bearing in mind what the Halsbury's Laws of England state, right, that fascists and communists must be purged. From the civil service, right? Civil service is basically any government function. And yet, what we've got is infiltration from the Fabians. right? It actually tells you in there, and the Fabians are exactly that. They are communists, right? They're Marxists. How we allowed it to happen, I'll never know. But all I'm doing is telling people the truth. Again, I'm going to show you a video, and I'm hoping I can bring it up on the screen. Let me have a quick look. Let me have a look. I've got a missed call this morning from Jimmy. What's that? Let me have a look at that. What's that? I put a settee in my front garden with a sign free. It soon went, saved me getting rid of it. Neil, that is fine, but I ain't got a front garden. I ain't got a back garden. And where I'm moving to, I ain't got a front garden or a back garden. So I can never sit in the sun like I could on the Boreal. Did you see the pictures of me sitting? We went and bought some deck chairs, and then when we went to, there was a restaurant up the road. Right, and normally we get to it by dinghy, but we got an Uber. And kind of long story short, they put some deck chairs outside this cafe. It's right in the Archive, right? Really lovely place to eat. But between the hours of 4 o'clock and 7 o'clock, they had a happy hour, and the prices come right down. So we had something to eat in there and a couple of beers in there when we, went out after Tim was doing all the work. I mean, I was working on a case, but they put these deck chairs out. So Tim said, "Oh no, sit in the deck chairs." So I'm sitting in the deck chairs, and people walking past and all that, right? And then I got one of the serviettes, a white serviette, and put it on my head and turned up the corners with little knobs in it and sat there like that. And the staff in the place was laughing. That is. You don't get more typically English than that, right? It was like telling everyone, I'm English. I'm sitting in a deck chair and I've got a hanky on my head, right? So some of them things are quite funny and amusing. But there you go, right? So what I'm going to do now is try and show you something else, right? So last night I left the show talking about this guy. I forget his name because I ain't got it in front of me. And he's talking last week, 16 men were arrested. So I'm going to bring it up on the screen so everyone's got it, right? I'm not going to play you the full video, but I do think it's an important video. This guy is on Twitter and needs to be told about the Criminal Justice Act 1988, Section 134, torture. And he needs to be told that it carries a mandatory life sentence, right? Now, the other side are terrified about this. Part of our case in the High Court is this information was being put out to 45,400 homes and was removed from the communication to the people by the Royal Mail. That's really important because it notes, and I'm going to be saying this to the High Court, it also says about judges were complicit in this, were either acquiesced or consented or acted or omitted in some way. And we've already got evidence of that. They should be put on trial for torture, right? And again, if you understand the Act and you understand UNCAT and the fact that the British government and British regime ratified it and it was brought into domestic law, that's why it's so powerful. Secondly, the ratification means that it brings in something called universal jurisdiction, which means that you can bring that case in Texas. There is a process for that. I understand the process. But this guy on your screen is not being told that. And I believe he is being advised by the British and the very people that have been covering this up for more than 25 years are the very people that's steering him away from this act, right? Which is really powerful. And people need to understand. So what I'm going to do is click on this. Hopefully you can all hear it.
Ignored. Every council leader who signed off on a cover-up, every police chief who buried evidence, every politician who chose silence over justice, every social worker who looked the other way, every journalist who refused to ask the hard questions, every one of them is complicit. And last week's arrests are just the beginning of what we're going to uncover when this whole rotten edifice finally comes crashing down. The system thought it could contain the damage, localise the inquiries, fragmentise the accountability, gaslight the public into believing this was ancient history, isolated incidents, lessons learned. But truth has a way of breaking through even the most carefully constructed lies. And last week, 16 arrests in Calderdale cracked their wall of silence just a little bit wider. Every arrest reveals more connections. Every connection exposes more cover-ups. Every cover-up implicates more officials. And every revelation brings us closer to the moment when the whole truth finally comes out. This is what must happen next. 1. We need to stop playing the game. No more localized inquiries designed to protect reputations. No more hand-picked panels stuffed with establishment insiders. No more independent reviews that exclude the very evidence that would damn them all. We demand a single, national, fully independent investigation with the power to drag every complicit official before the public under oath and under pain of perjury.
Right. So basically, when you look at this leaflet, right, on the back it said this, and it must be everyone understands what this is. Justice for the victims of rape and torture. Prosecutions, not inquiries. We have the evidence, let the jury decide. Now what you're seeing is the jury, they're trying to remove juries, right? Vote Graham or English Constitution Party, Runcorn and Helsby constituency by-election. Don't forget the other people I stood up for were the veterans. All of a sudden, you are seeing Sarah Patchin going around saying, I'm going to do this, and being on GB News and so how tough she is, etc. Really? You're a nodding dog of a magistrate. That's all you are. And by the way, she is now one of the people trying to stop this trial taking place, right? She knows, and that's why I know now that Reform UK are just as bad as all the others, right? Constituency by our pledge to you, I want you to listen carefully. Justice for the English. We demand the prosecution of all state officials under Section 134 of the Criminal Justice Act 1988 for torture. Those who acquiesced, consented, omitted, or acted to cause the rape of white working class English girls, primarily by Pakistani Muslim men, must face trial, not just a public inquiry. Section 6 mandates a life sentence upon a guilty verdict with no judicial discretion. Life means life. State officials include MPs, lords, judges, Crown Prosecution Services staff, ministers, prime ministers, police and council officials. It's all in there, right? Now what, and this had at the bottom, election communication. Those leaflets were not delivered by the Royal Mail, right? Deliberately. They were dumped, we believe, in the skips, and you paid for them. So on the 25th, that's all there. The reason why I've stopped it and just made sure you understand what's going on here is I believe that this person is a good person. I believe he is being advised by British barristers and British solicitors. They are not mentioning the Criminal Justice Act 1988, Section 134, torture, and they are not pushing this forward because they know how powerful that is, right? And they don't want it mentioned.
We want powers that can reach into every council chamber, every police.
That is exactly what the Criminal Justice Act 1988, Section 134 does. It is the ultimate power, right, to take down all of these people.
Station, every government department that participated in this betrayal. 2. We demand prison sentences. Not just for the rapists, but also for every official who enabled them. The council leaders who signed off on the cover-ups, the police chiefs who buried the evidence, the social workers who ignored reports, the politicians who chose silence over justice, especially those who sold our children for votes. If you shredded documents, you're going to prison. If you lost files, you're going to prison. If you attacked whistleblowers, you're going to prison. If you promoted failure, you're going to prison. If you were any part of this cover-up, you're going to prison.
Right, I need to stop you again there. Criminal Justice Act 1988, Section 134, torture, right? I just want to emphasise to everyone that this leaflet was telling people exactly what he wants there is what that can do, right? And that is why it was so important that it went through every single door and it was stopped by the Royal Mail Group Limited and Emma Gilthorpe, who, being the CEO or officer of the company, is personally master servant, is responsible. We're not talking about agent principal, we're talking about master servant, right? There's a whole range of laws and precedents that have been set up for that, and we'll go into that in more detail at the actual case. But we have given enough information to say that there must be a trial on this, and everyone needs to understand what's going on. Let me make sure I carry on. So everyone needs to try and share this as much as possible.
3. We need to reject their timeline. They want to drag this out for years whilst more evidence disappears and more officials retire with their pensions. We want arrests now. We want charges now. We want trials now. There is nothing to stop criminal investigations running alongside the national inquiry. The National Crime Agency must expand their investigations to include public officials, police officers, and politicians involved in the cover-up. They must arrest government ministers and metropolitan mayors. 4. We must continue to tell the truth that they tried to bury. Every name, every meeting, every decision, every cover-up, we drag it all into the light where it can't hide anymore. The media won't do it. They're too comfortable with the establishment they're supposed to be holding accountable. The political class won't do it. They're too busy protecting each other. It's up to us to tear this whole rotten system down, and we will, because the only reason these arrests are happening at all is because survivors refuse to stay silent and ordinary people refused to accept their lies. This is how we win. This is the only way we can win. To every survivor, your story matters. Your pain was real. Your abusers weren't just the men who hurt you, they were also the ones in suits who looked the other way whilst it happened. Last week's arrests in Calderdale aren't justice. They're just another reminder that the system that failed you is still failing others. But they're also proof that the truth can't be buried forever. We will not stop until every perpetrator is in prison and every enabler is also held accountable. We will not stop until the whole rotten system is torn down and rebuilt in a way that actually protects children instead of protecting careers. We owe that to every child betrayed, and we will not stop until it is done. The cover-up is cracking. The truth is coming out, and there is nowhere left for them to hide. We uncovered the evidence. We proved these were racially motivated crimes. We showed how Labour Party politicians sold children for votes. We exposed every layer of the cover-up, and we forced a national inquiry into the Pakistani rape gangs. We got this far because we refused to stay silent, no matter what they did. They called us racist and far right. They encouraged Pakistani gangsters and Islamists to attack me. When this failed, Greater Manchester Police, Andy Burnham's Greater Manchester Police, launched Operation Hexagon and sent the police after an entire community. When this didn't work, they repeatedly dawn raided my home. Gangs of police officers, one after another. Local newspapers, national newspapers published lies about me to try and smear me and silence what was taking place. Senior prosecutors in the CPS even fabricated charges, desperate to silence our demands for justice. I spent 3 years on bail as case after case against me collapsed in court. My mother died before I was able to clear my name. Now the truth is out in detail. The Pakistani rape gangs are real, and their victims, little white girls, number in the hundreds of thousands. I am Raja Mia. For 6 years, I led a small team that exposed how politicians protected the rape gangs. The question now is, will you stand with me and help make sure that the national inquiry we have all fought for is not a whitewash? This isn't just about justice for the past, it's about stopping it from ever happening again. If we act together, we can hold every complicit official to account, we can tear down the system that protected them, and yes, if we push far enough, if we fight hard enough, this government will fall and politicians will go to prison. If there's even a 1 in a million chance of achieving what I share, wouldn't you just take the 10 seconds to back the campaign that forced this inquiry into existence?
So, and going back to that, that's the part I wanted to play. It's a 15-minute video. That's the one that I wanted to show you last night, right? So I've put it out there. People should watch it. I'm not having a pop at the geezer, right? I'm not having a pop at him at all. I think he is 100% genuine, right? I think he's being ill-advised, and so is Rupert Lowe, and so is Ben Habib, and so are these other people, because they're reliant on this British bollocks, right? It is the British system protecting itself, right? And I am English, not British, right? Again, you've got to go for the Criminal Justice Act 1988, Section 134, torture. If people understood why it was put in there, it comes under UNCAT, right? And we can make, you can literally set up a team, like a team. You can even bring police officers from outside, so the highest level of integrity from other countries to come in and say, right, we're going to investigate this. Bang, 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 bang. All of a sudden, they've got all the evidence, and they say, right, well, now here's one of the trials. We're going against these people here. All of these people, including the police constable, including social services, including the head of the council, including these, including the High Court judge, for example, you could go, bang, there's the evidence, put it to the jury. Do you find these people guilty or not guilty for torture? Because that is what this amounts to. Because there was complicity, acquiescence, omission from the state. There were acts done by the state. There was consent by the state. You've only got to look at Gordon Brown, etc. And in the background, you're seeing these people flap, right? I'm watching it on different videos, and I'm thinking to myself, there is only one reason why these people are flapping. They know what we have been saying, and bearing in mind, we are only focused on the Constitution, on English law, right? We need to put this into operation. It is there for just such events in our history, right? And bearing in mind, it was brought in on the tricentenary of the English Bill of Rights. It was assented to by Her Majesty the Queen Elizabeth II, right? And there's many other things going on, but I do want everyone to understand that, right? We're the only people pushing this. We're the only people saying, what about this? What about... There's a number of alternative media, one of them being LSB Studios, Thetford. I could get on the stage, they wouldn't shut me down. They'd say, yeah, well, we understand what you're talking about. But there's too much bullshit going on with these other people. And we need to make sure that they start focusing on this, right? Majorly. So, again, don't forget to like the channel. I'm going to hit this now and see what it comes up with. Let me hit the button. It says 83 likes. Let's see if I can hit it again. 84, because I just added mine yet again. Let me see if I can stop this. I'm trying to stop it so I've got a picture. So hit the like button if you haven't hit it already. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button. We're well in excess of 8,000 subscribers. Don't forget, subscribe. Don't forget to hit the like button. And most importantly, people, you're the people getting this message out there. You've got to share these videos, right? And it's really crucially important that you do that. We're not halfway through. Luke, 1956. I understand that you tried to ring me this morning. I was going to ring you back. I ain't got enough time, and I'm not on Facebook. I don't know how many times I've got to tell people that, but I'm not on Facebook. And with what I'm doing and the running about, etc., I'm just answering a couple of questions. Let me hit the button here and see if I can see. Online local charity warehouse should probably have your furniture. They don't. They need. So again, people don't realise there's so much bullshit out there with what you need to do to get something done, and I ain't got the time or the inclination for waiting for people to come up and then doing all sorts of things. So I just want to make sure everyone's cool with what I'm saying. Let me have a quick look and see if there's anything else out there. Anyone watching me? Right, keep going and put it out there. Let's have a look and see if there's anything else. There is quite a bit I wanted to talk to you about tonight. There again, I see Dominic Cummings put out a couple of posts today, and I was like, he's pressing the right buttons. Dominic Cummings has been trying to tell people that there's been some big cover-ups about things and people don't know. I'm seeing more and more that there's potentially between 18,000 and 100,000 Afghans. I can tell you now, when I move out of this social housing that I'm in now, right, I'll guarantee they're going to move an illegal or an immigrant in here, right? One of the things that I was really frightened of is moving out of this place to Devon. Potentially, it's very awkward, although I've got a guarantee personally from the person who owns the gaff, she'd never kick me out of the gaff. Even when they shut me down, I can't get any money in from anywhere, I would not kick you out, right? But once you're in a position like me, and especially once you've been homeless once in your life, you never want it to happen again. And don't forget, right, people, I went from being £1.5 million worth of assets in the early 2000s to 2010. A good chunk of that paid for, many thousands a month coming in, 3 successful businesses, to being bang, you're fucked, right? And especially when it's got something to do with mental illness, which it was with me, right? And various other issues, right? Again, I've been in business. I understand business. Would I want to be in business now? Not with the fucking government taking all the tax off you and then you having to give that tax money over and to things you totally disagree with. Fuck that, right? And what they're doing is create a downward spiral in this country. So the good people that could run businesses, could employ people, could use their intelligence to build businesses up, and everyone's getting an earner out of it. Everyone enjoys working with you. It's like my dad's factory. People who worked, my dad owned the factory, right? People who worked, so I got brought up with that. I got brought up with being, if you want to call it, inside of business, an engineering business as well, right? One of the things that you've got to understand about that is my dad worked on the lathe every day of his life, right? He was still a working person. Yet there was people in that factory that didn't like me because I was a governor's son. That's the only reason they didn't like me, right? Only once I nearly fucking sparked someone because it was just like a venom some of these people had because you're the governor's son, right? And if I had been the governor, I would have said, do yourself a favour, especially if my son had worked in there and I heard any of that going on. I would have said to them, well, now you can fuck off. You was being treated with respect like everyone else and no different because you're just workers, right? But if you treat my son like that, if I'd been in that factory, I would have said, you can fuck off, right? But all these things are sent to try us. You just learn about people's characters and who and what they are, and then people probably will never amount to anything in their life. I thought tax was voluntary. I thought there was nowhere in legislation that says it's not compulsory. I thought tax was voluntary. Tax isn't voluntary. What do you think PAYE is? They take it as source. The only way that you can even fractionally try and get away with not paying any tax is if you're self-employed, which means technically you're better off not being a trader in your own name, but a corporation, and then you just keep folding the corporations. But they can come after you and they can send you to prison. And just to make sure you're all aware of this, they brought in laws that they said, and this is how they always frame it, right? Framing something is very important. They always said this, right? We're bringing in these laws about sequestration of assets of drug dealers and drug barons. And everyone went, yeah, bad people. And everyone went, yeah, right? How many drug dealers went to prison? Not many, some, not many though, because the more successful you are at drug dealing, the more you can afford to buy a barrister with a brain that gets you out of all of the tick boxes, right? And then what they did, instead of using it against drug dealers, they said, well, actually, if you don't pay your tax, you're breaking the law. Therefore, you've committed a criminal offence. Therefore, we will go for your assets, right? And they turned that law against people with their own businesses, right? And so that's the way that they did it. So just to make sure everyone is aware of that. Anyone who out there who says you don't have to pay tax, that's not correct. That they have created a system. If you go back, probably now, just over 100 years. So if you went back 120 years, tax was voluntary. And by the way, the Hong Kong tax system is a voluntary tax system. It's got so many, and that's what President Trump is trying to replicate in America now. The Hong Kong tax system is basically English, right? It comes from ordinances of, not the entirety, but the ordinances of the Addington Act of 1803 to 1909. And then there was something called the People's Budget, and Winston Churchill tried to bring something in that the landowners shut down. We would live in a different country if he had got that through. A much better country, by the way. But just to let everyone know that and I've got a whole book on it somewhere. I wonder if I can actually see it. I've got to go through my books before I start having a look at things. There's a book here. Let me have a look. Let's see if I can find it. Financial and Aid. There it is. I know it somewhere. My favourite books are right behind me. Right, this book. Right, it's the only book, and I proper read this one. I read this about 10 years ago. Taxation Without Representation: The History of Hong Kong's Troubling Successful Tax System by Michael Littlewood. I think he's I think he's a New Zealander, but if you go and read this, it is shocking, the history of it, and then he goes on to tell different things, and he tells you how it all works, etc. Important. British Income Tax Act of 1803, the Addington Act. 1803 to 1803 to 1909. That's a good memory, isn't it? Page 17. Very good. British Chamber of Commerce. I've got my little things in there, and there's bits and pieces that are all in there. let me have a quick look in there. If found, please return to CIB. Let me have a look. Let's see if I can find, where was page 17? It says page 17 is very good. Let me see if I've got anything in this. So, because if people read this, they'd be shocked, right? The Addington's Act. So I'm going to read out a couple of parts of this from page 17, since I've marked this off about 10 years ago, right? Addington's Act. One might suppose that when taxes on income were introduced in Hong Kong, the system might have been copied from Britain. In a sense, this is true. But the schedular system of taxation, which was established in Hong Kong in 1940 and which remains intact today, was copied, and this is before the Chinese took over, intact today, was copied not from the system in force in Britain at that time, but from the system of taxation in force there in the 19th century. More precisely, that system was established in 1803 and finally put to rest in 1909. Since Britain's 19th century tax system served as the model for the system of taxation still in force in Hong Kong today, it is necessary to briefly examine it. And it goes into various parts of the law. It's really clever. In 1799, one opponent of Pitt's proposal put it thus, right? This is a horrible war. Rapacity, the greed of the government go beyond all limits. It is now actually proposed to place a tax on incomes. It is a vile Jacobin, right? Remember the word Jacobin and Jacobites, right? Jumped up Jack in the office, piece of impertinence. It is a true Britain. It is a true Britain to have no privacy. Is a true Britain to have no privacy? Are the fruits of his labour and toil to be picked over, farthing by farthing, by the pimply minions of bureaucracy? So again, when you start looking at these people and what they say, there are so many elements to this book. Now, if different categories of income are taxed separately at progressive rates, the system will necessarily be inequitable, because a person whose income falls exclusively into a single category will be required to pay more tax than one in total income. There are so many parts of this book which are absolutely fantastic, right? Let me just say, this, to my knowledge, is the only book that's ever been written on the Hong Kong tax system. So when I start talking about this, it was a professor that wrote the book. And there's certain, I think there's so many, like this has come from John Tiley, Professor of Tax Law, University of Cambridge, Professor at Law. There's all these professors in the background that have wrote summaries about the book, right? Just to let you all know, and again, I'm just making sure that you do know this. Oh, let's get this. Okay. Right. What you need to understand is I've sat there reading all this stuff and then try to piece together what it is that's gone wrong over time. And very much it is about what they're doing to us, right? They are trying to destroy the working class. They've already, in my opinion, destroyed England. But what we've got to do is find a way of taking it back. Time for a Boston Tea Party. Yeah. Well, the Boston Tea Party wasn't actually about tea. It was about all the other things the British regime was laying on the. You probably all know this by now, right? They basically stood up and said, we want the same rights as an Englishman, right? But then, because they lost in effect the colonies, which were actually dominions prior to the British rule, they were dominions, and there's a difference between a dominion and a colony. A dominion meant that they were independent. So some of the stuff that I've read through recently in law about some of the appeals that are coming back from say Barbados, right, Bermuda, right? They're coming back and they're now going to the English courts. It's called the Judicial Committee of Privy Councillors, or whatever it is, right? They're the same judges that sit under another hat, right, which is the Supreme Court. But what they're doing for the dominions of England, because they're no longer under British rule, they're allowing them to have their constitutional rights, and they're enforcing their constitutional rights. Can you believe that? Right? They're actually enforcing the same judges in this country that sit under. So there's two tables. There's a table for now the dominions of England. So all of a sudden they're coming in and getting this. This is what I've tried to tell the Australians, right? But the Australians are this, British. They don't get it, right? It's not complex, right? If this is simple. And then there's another table they sit round, which has got the British flag on it, where your colonies, including Scotland, including England, including Wales, including Cornwall, including Northern Ireland, right? And they're still enforcing the central control of Westminster. I would say it like I've got a list, Westminster, right? And there's two separate tables. But when the judges sit around that table, they're enforcing the constitutional rights because they're dominions of England, and therefore they're entitled to them rights. And then when they sit round the British table, right, they're removing the rights. That's what's actually going on. Does everyone understand what I just said? TP. So is Farage. Farage is a wrong un. He's always been a wrong un. Let me just make sure we've got all this. I'll be starting my learning of the common law and English constitution. Thank you, Grams. Good. Everyone's out there and should understand what's going on. Don't forget to follow me on X, even though I don't think I've seen a couple of people being kicked off of it. Stafford I'll drink to that. Let's have a look. I need to go and get some cold water again. So don't forget, Thetford, Friday, all-day event, Saturday, all-day event, but on Saturday I'll be speaking 3 times. So we want to get as many people there, and then once I've done my thing, I'm going to go for a few pints. I might have a pint tomorrow night. I might have a few beers on Friday because I'm not actually talking at the event. And go from there. Anyone on the audience? Is anyone in the audience? If you're not going, don't tell me you're not going. If you're hoping to get along to the Thetford Norfolk event, let me know. And then there's another one coming up at the end of July, which is in Bedford. That's another Stand in the Park event. And then there's another event coming up in August on the 23rd, which I'll be going to. Let me hope everyone's going. If you wish to send Daily Dragon a personal donation for all his hard work, thank you, because the only thing that keeps me in survival mode is donations. Finchley Road is a money laundering scheme. English. I'm hoping to. Kew Gardens, Juicy and Lucy. Let's have a look, see if there's anyone else out there who's coming along to it. Don't forget there's a campsite there as well, so you can pull up, go camping, all your camping needs. You can have a tent, you can pitch there. It's a proper little event. So, or camper vans, there's people with camper vans going to it. I think it's the UK government effing around. You have to go through Google and then it asks you to verify you're a human. And then, what's that one? And then it takes you to Trump's page. John Aspinall, again, was disgraceful that they've covered that up. Don't forget there's lots of different things coming up in there. Red Road Queue. I plan to be at the Bedford one. Tracy Truism. I have to do it. I left Truth in Idle. I don't know what that means. Picture. It started with verifying I was a human. Don't know what that is. Now I can't be verified. I don't know what's going on with that. So Right. So again, everyone listening to this, have you got any questions, by the way? I'll answer a couple of questions. Let's see if anyone can be it. So don't forget, next few weeks is going to be a bit erratic with the show. And the reason for that is because I'm moving. I've also got that case next week Don't forget what we're aiming for with the case. So the 25th of July is really important. It's at the Royal Courts of Justice. There is 2 justices listening to this. I've got 4 barristers trying to kick it out because they don't want it to get to trial. We've got the evidence to prove that they didn't deliver the leaflets. You know, these leaflets, right? They didn't deliver these leaflets, right? Don't forget what it says on there: election communication, etc. And what we're going to be doing now is taking them up there. They've tried the best they can. They don't want the judges reading what it says on there. And what I've said to them is I'm not accepting that. I've got some leaflets that I'm going to be going up there and I'm going to be showing them. There's the bundles of 100. So what you've got to imagine is you've got a ton, right, of them leaflets, 45,400 leaflets. And what it says on them is this. So I just want to make sure that everyone is aware of exactly the most important part of the whole of this is the pledge on the back, from the top to the end of Justice for the English. And they didn't want people to understand that. Now, if you go back and look at the pro-life, there was a case in 2003 where the pro-life alliance, which was a political party all about abortions, and the BBC refused to transmit this 5-minute broadcast, which showed you exactly what happened to the baby during an abortion. Literally, it was a video of going in and cutting the back of their brain out and munching them up in a room and then dragging the bits out, right? And what the judges said was, this hasn't been sensationalised. This is factual information. It's a political party registered with the Electoral Commission, and they're telling people the absolute truth, right? We haven't sensationalised this leaflet. We're just telling people that there is, and there's a reason why they didn't want this leaflet delivered. And it's really important people like Roger know that exists. And we need as many people as possible to say to him, to go and have a look at it. Let me see if I can go and find him on here. So currently, here he is, right? So I'm going to put his details. He's got 94,000. Here he is, right? So I'm going to put his details on there. People need to email him, not email him, but send him a message. If you do loads of individual messages and say, Raja, Mia, right, you need to understand about this. Oh, I just pulled my hearing aids out. Let me see if I can put that back in. I'll put that back over there for a second. Let me plug this in. Now it sounds like I'm underwater, right? So what I'm going to do is write out this part, right? So it is this criminal Justice Act 1988, Section 134, torture. Keywords in law. Right, everyone needs to send this to him, right? And the keywords are acquiesced at CQUIESCEE, acquiesced, consented, right. Omitted. Oh, it's not the right spelling. Omitted, right? Or omitted or acted. Omitted or acted. Or acted. Omitted. Acted, right? To cause the rape of, right? Let me make sure I've got the whole of that copied, right? So you need to try and send that to him, right? The more you send it out to him, the more he'll understand it, right? So let me put it out there again, right? So everyone's got it. If you send this message to him, he'll understand it. Right? Copy. And if he is being advised, right, by the British, he's not understanding what's going on. He's being guided away from this by the same people trying to cover it up, right? That's the whole shitty event of this. And what they don't like is we are actually telling people, right? So make sure that these people know what's going on, right? Let's see where this petition has gone. There is a petition at the moment. Fuck me. Let me have a look at this. Let's see if I can put this up on the screen, right? So there's a parliamentary petition that everyone should see. Copy. This was put out by Rupert Lowe under the group, right? Mandatory collection and publication of certain child sexual offender data. Place a statutory requirement on councils, the police, the Crown Prosecution Service and all other related institutions to collect, record and publish the nationality, ethnicity, immigration status and religion of child sexual offenders, including gang-based crime, to protect children and inform public policy. We believe it is essential to collect, record and publish the nationality, ethnicity, immigration status and religion of all child sexual offenders, including gang-based crime. This data will allow for better understanding of offender demographics, ensure transparency and support targeted safeguarding strategies. Without this information, critical patterns may be missed, weakening efforts. They know that. That's why they're missing it. Without this information, critical patterns may be missed. I believe that information was picked up and it's been eradicated, in which means that people need to be charged, right? So we're now at 69,000 signatures. Let me put that back out there again, right? I'm going to sign this petition, right? I am a... there you go. Put it on there. There it is. Email me. Right, there you go. This is my email address. Right. And now what I'm going to do is come off of that. Not sure if my Proton Mail account is even going to work on here because it stopped working for some reason. Does anyone know why it would stop working? Sign in. Right, so hopefully that's off there. No, not that one. That one. Let me see if I can put this on there. Let's see if this works. Keep me signed in. Proton Mail. Hopefully it's going to work. I don't think it will do. But let's see if it's coming back. Ooh, that one thing's come up. Let's see if this takes us in. So we are now at 69,000. He only done it this morning. Your constituency is, there you go. And believe it or not, my MP is Miss Abina Ompong Azer, right? You've got no chance of ever becoming an MP in this area, right? There's far too many foreigners. They won't like. They will not allow an Englishman to be MP in this area. I can tell you that now. I will check Proton site for you. Everything stops working when they bleed you dry. Yeah, you're not kidding. Let me have a quick look at. Get some water. We're coming up to an hour, but I just want to make sure that everyone's aware. So you're all aware of this event happening in Thetford, Friday and Saturday this week, right? Do you want me to bring it up again and go through it and show you it? which I will do if you want. Let me have a quick look. Let's have a quick look. No, but he's since made videos stating all officials should be sent to the courts acquiescence. So he's definitely seen our email. And the link to the latest clip I did for Graham is on there. Well done. So again, you're on there. Right, let me just jump up and be 30 seconds. I need to go and get some more water. And then I'm coming back, so don't go away. I'm back! I need to fill up my other water bottle. Right, anything else? I do not consent. No. So Ashby versus White. Do you see about this one? I don't know, I haven't seen it, but he's going to the latest video being a reaction. I've not used that one, but I think he's seen it. Only got on his latest video being a reaction to what we sent him, the latest video clip. So my opinion is that these people who are advising these people are telling them to stay away from that. They're terrified of the Torture Act. By the way, the Torture Act can be used in conjunction with conspiracy. Conspiracy laws in this country are some of the worst in the world. In other words, if they want a conviction, you say you conspired, so under the conspiracy laws, to commit the act of torture. So you either acquiesced, omitted, consented, or acted to cause the torture of young English working class girls, right? They are terrified of us turning the law against them, and they will be getting whole life sentences with no discretion from the judge, right? The judges can't give any other sentence on a guilty verdict, cannot give any other sentence. All right, and I think it's one of the reasons why they want to cancel juries, get rid of juries, so they can. And they've done the same thing with getting rid of what's known as grand juries in this country. So don't forget, we was the one who gave grand juries to America. It's for holding the power to account. Evening, everyone. Sonia Poulton had a show on Monday regarding Rupert Lowe and his involvement with Elon Musk. He seems a dark character as well, as much as it seems he's saying the right things. Bams, 7, I don't disagree with you. I don't trust any of them. And he is, in particular, pushing what he calls unity, yet Robert Lowe has never mentioned, and he should have done, he has never mentioned the destruction of England by regionalisation, right? Which is a European Union construct to destroy England. And London, by the way, just to make sure you are aware of this, Q, Yang and Yin, Graham, can you specify what books we should be studying? I will do shortly. When I'm in that new place in Devon, I am going to try and construct something where you all understand what your basic rights are, and there's something in specific that I have to spend a lot of time on trying to write, so you all understand, and that means whoever starts reading this book understands that there is a separation of powers, and what these people are actually saying in the background is bullshit. So Juicy and Lucy have just said to Yang and Ying, Hamlin lectures, yeah, right. So again, some of you need to take from my memory of things that I say, right? So the Hamlin lectures, if you want a good grounding in the real laws of England and the common law, right, the best grounding you can get is the pre-2005 lectures from the Hamlin lectures, where Lord Denning, Freedom Under the Law, let's go and see if I can find a link. Oh, the link's on there. Let me see if I can find it. Right. Good evening. EGNR, how you doing, son? Let me get and see if I can find this one. Right, so there it is. Let me see if I can actually click on this link. Won't let me click on the link. If you put that link in the chat, I'll bring it up and show people. Put the law, the Exeter law. Another great reason to go to Devon, by the way. If you put the link in the WhatsApp chat, I'll copy it from there, because it's difficult for me to try and copy it from here. There it is. Well done. Copy link. Put that in there, and I'll go back and have a look at that petition in a couple of minutes. So anyone watching this at the moment, right, what I'm going to do is show you this on the screen, right? If you want a good foundation to your education, the Hamlin lectures, right? I don't know who she is, but I will say you want to go into Hamlin seminars, Hamlin archives. You go into the archives, and then you'll see on the screen. Why ain't that actually showing? It's not showing it on the screen. Do I need to take that off? I think I need to get rid of that and then put that on there. Let's see if that works. No, it's not showing. It's not wanting to show the screen for some reason. Why is that? In stream. I don't want to in stream. Presentation. Let me go back on there. Take that one off. Put that one on there. It's not showing it. Why has it started playing up? Let's take that one off. Close window. Close all tabs. Right. Let's see if I can bring it up back on the screen. It's not allowing me. Isn't that weird? Right. So I just showed you. Let me put this one on there. It's not allowing for it to happen. Let me try and do one thing, right? So I am going to now bring on, right, I'm going to close this tab. So you might see it go black, right? And I'll be back in 30 seconds. Well, hopefully you can all hear me, right? So I'll put that on all again. Can you all still see and hear me? Right, I'm going to see if this allows me to put this on There's that one. Hamlin lectures. Let's go and have a look at the petition, right? So the petition, let's see how many this has gone. Petition has now gone to 72,691 signatures in less than 24 hours. And then if you show it on the map, you're getting, where's that area there? Great Yarmouth. Waverley. He's getting a lot of support, isn't he? Right? And you can see that the built-up areas, let's see if I can zoom in. Right. Let's see if I can zoom into this. The people where it's got no support, right, are London, Reading Central, all Early and Woodley, right, all of these areas, right. So London in particular, then you've got that area there, which is St Albans, Watford, Luton. So when you start looking at these areas, Bedford, what's that area there? Cambridge, right? Do you understand what these areas are that are not showing any support for it? You can see these are the strongholds. Or where's this area? Birmingham. Where's Leicester? Is Leicester around there? Is that? Let's see if I can find Leicester. Hitchin, South Cambridgeshire. Right, all of these areas. Right, let's go up. Where's that? Manchester. Right, Manchester. You can see these areas, but from that, you can start to see what areas have got a strong. So let's go back and see if I can find Worsley and Eccles. Bearing in mind, after we finished, which area is that? Great Yarmouth, massively. He's got a good following there. Right, so there's Lowestoft. Now, Lowestoft, isn't that where Richard Tice is? And then you've got that area. Where's that? Isle of Wight East. Where's another good area? Christchurch. Herne Bay and Sandwich. But the real areas, let's see, they're quite good areas. Rosendale and Darwin. Rosendale. Let's go and have a look up north. See if I can see any other areas. They're getting close. Redcar, Washington and Gateshead South. Notice again that the areas up here, in particular Edinburgh, Edinburgh South, Edinburgh West, Dumfries, this Dumfries and Galloway, another area, not concerned at all. They're like literally sticking their finger up. There's not many signatures coming in there, right? That tells you, and you can see from that as well, the English divide, right? Can you see it there? Now, there's some areas that are more with us, but you can see the city areas that are absolutely, what's that area there? I bet that's Glasgow. Is that around Glasgow? Glasgow. All around there. You can see in that area that they are not interested, right? So where you get them areas like that, so Glasgow West, no signatures, virtually none. And again, when you start looking at that, so when you look at this, so I'm going to go back out again because it's really important that you highlight these maps, right? Grey means 0, right? Chelsea and Fulham, no signatures. Virtually the whole of London, no signatures. Can you understand how it's so bad? Let's see if I can go and find. Where's Devon? Taunton and Wellington, Honiton and Sidmouth, Tiverton and Minehead, Taunton and Wellington, Yeovil. Where's Exeter? West Dorset. No. Let's have a look at these. Exmouth and Exeter East, Central Devon, North Devon. or either one of these two. They're getting signatures, but not many. Southwest Devon, right? You're getting quite a few more signatures there. North Cornwall, St Augustine and Newquay, you're getting a few there. But that just shows you. I think it's important that people look at that map, right? Let me go back to the actual signature itself. So now you've got, it tells you on the side there how many people. Let me see if I can find a different area. There's virtually no signatures there, right? And then you've got a load of signatures there. All right, there's more and more, but you've got 72,733 signatures at the moment, right? So you started to see what's actually going on there, right? What do I want to? What was I originally? Oh, my camera's gone off. My camera's gone off yet again. My camera keeps switching off. I don't know why, right? But it's cameraing off. Can you see me now? Pretty cool. The map for us. They map it for us, right? So you're seeing all this stuff on there. Let me go back. What was the other thing that I was going to attempt to show you, which was really important? The Hamlin lectures, right? So touch wood, I'm going to be able to show you this. Hamlin lectures, right? People asked about this, right? So here's the actual archives. What you've got to do is go to archives pre-2005, which is that one, right? So it's on the screen. I'm showing you. All you got to do is go and read these. I mean, I've got them in hard copy as well, right? But I'm going to put that out there. So everyone should be seeing that. You want the petition link. Petition link. Let me put the petition link out there. The petition link is here. Copy. Paste. Right. There you go. There's a petition link. But majorly, what you want to be doing is looking at this, right? So back on your screen at the moment, it's archived from pre-2005, right? And it shows you. So on the screen as we speak, can you see that? You've got 1949, freedom under the law, the Right Honourable Lord Denning. You couldn't get more of a master of the common law, right? He was in all four inns of court, and on a numerous occasions, he brought up the Bill of Rights, right? 1950, Inheritance of the Common Law, Richard O'Sullivan. That's another fantastic one, right? You've got to understand how important this all is, right? The rational strength of English law and the moral law, the Queen's Peace, Sir Colton Kemp Allen, executive discretion and judicial control, proof of guilt, Professor Glanville Williams, trial by jury. That's another really good one by Lord Devlin. He tells you the history of the jury, right? Protection of the public, a new challenge. The sanctity of contracts in English law. So if you really want to understand, instead of having all this nonsense from whoever out there, go and read that one, and it tells you about contracts. Judge and jurist, the reign of Victoria, the common law in India, British justice, the Scottish contribution. It should really be. They should be talking more about what England did for Scotland, but I won't get into that. Lawyer and litigant in England, crime and criminal law, part 1 and part 2. Law and lawyers in the United States, the new law for the new world, other people's law, the contribution of English law to South African law, justice in the welfare state, part 1 and part 2. These are all pre-2005. British tradition in Canadian law, the English judge, punishment, prison and the public, labour under law, maladministration and its remedies, English law, the new dimension, the land and development of turmoil. These are all lectures to lay people by experts in the common law that tell you what's going on, right? Here's a great one. Constitutional fundamentals, right? It was lecture number 32, Professor Sir William Wade. And you do really want to go and read that one. There's a number of good ones. They're all good, though. I don't think there's anything that's bad there. Hamlin revisited the British legal system today. Hamlin revisited the legal system today. Law and order, the fabric of English civil justice. Pragmatism, the theory in English law. Justification. There's another one I wanted to try and show you. Let me see if I can actually bring it up on the screen. I think I've got to go on to the next one. That's 2004, right? The state of justice, freedom, law and justice, Justice Sedley. Again, that's another really good one to read. Freedom, law and justice, right? They're all good, right? But then there's some more ones you want to go through there. So if I said post 2005, there were some other ones. Lawyers and the public good, no such thing. The common law constitution, that's another really good one. That was done in 2013. I've actually got the hard copy of that book as well. And that was Lord Justice Laws going through the law. And it is fascinating. So he's actually telling you the common law constitution and what it is. And he tells you in that book, he tells you in that lecture that Parliament is not sovereign. So does Sir Stephen Sedley, who I showed you on the last page, right? And there's lots of things that people need to understand. So the last one, I think, was in 2018. Common law constitution, lawyers and the public good. There's lots of things that you need to go and have a look at. But if you go and start with that, so what I'm saying to people out there and everyone listening to this at the moment, you don't have to go and listen to YouTube bullshit, right? Start your education in the law. There's about 5 of them that I would recommend that you go and read that and you'll understand. You'll have a grounding from the best of the best of the best in our history. That's when they start to refer back to these different elements and cases in history. That's when you start getting hold of Halsby's Laws of England, Halsby Statutes of England. That's when you start to realise, hang on a minute, there's no difference between a charter and a statute. It was king in council that made a charter, and it is king in parliament that makes a statute, right? It's just extended the franchise. So a statute and charter are the same thing. So when people say the common law, you only get the common law. And by the way, in particular, and I'm just making sure you understand this, in this lecture, where's he gone? Constitutional fundamentals, not that one. We have to go back to archive from 2005, right? So if you go and have a look at common law constitution, right, which was in 2013, if you go and read that one, it's up on the screen as we speak, right? They're easy reads, by the way, because they're designed for us. They're not designed. That's the beauty of the Hamlin lectures. They're designed as the Acts of Union stated. These rights should be communicated to the people. So the person who died and put this all in place, and this is the greatest thing about Devon, is it was a Devon solicitor, the daughter of a solicitor, very wealthy, who said, right, when I die, I'm going to put my whole estate into a trust and teach people about the law. So instead of you going listening to all these cranks on YouTube, and I'm not even going to say the words, you know the strapline I'm talking about, right? My strapline is the Constitution is the solution. And these people that are on your screen now back that up, right? And what they're doing is telling you the power of the common law. And if you go and read the common law constitution, the Right Honourable Lord Justice Laws, who died during COVID, I'm no doubt they probably poisoned him, right? you need to understand something that he says and he states, and so does Sir Stephen Sedley, so does many other judges, right? So does Sir William Wade, so does A.V. Dicey. They all say Parliament is not sovereign, right? And what they say is the Constitution is sovereign. So if the Constitution is sovereign and they're trying to remove it from your knowledge, it's obvious if we're putting it back to the knowledge of the people, knowledge is power, right? And that's why when I go on Saturday and I explain this to people, someone should prompt me to talk about the Hamlin lectures because it's really important, right? But everyone out there should understand what it's all about, right? So I'm now going to stop sharing. Hopefully I'm still live and my camera's still on. I've got no idea why my camera keeps going off. Is that it? So we're coming up to 9:30. Don't forget, we got this event on Friday and Saturday, Thetford Freedom Festival. I will be there speaking with the banners up, everything. If there's anyone that can give me a hand with the banners and setting up and all that, if you're coming along, do me a favour and come along. It's a bit, sometimes it could be hard work setting it up, and especially if it's raining or windy or pissing down rain. I don't even know where the stage is. But we do need to do that. And then we'll go whatever we need to do, right? So again, Hamlin Archive lectures. The more people that click on this, you want particularly, most of them are in pre-2000 archives, and there's one or two that are any good in the archive information. Let's see if that goes out to everyone. So is that it? Everyone got that? Grasshopper. Everyone understand what I've just said? So I am going to be at the Thetford Freedom Festival. It's got a campsite there, so you can pitch a camp, you can take your camper van, you can do all these wonderful things if you want to do it. You can stay there. They got food there. Hopefully it's cheap. I need it to be cheap. They've got real ale. I hope that's cheap as well. And you can just chill out, and it's a freedom movement, right? Now, I'm going to express this. Some of these people in the background have got their heart in the wrong place. They're just doing the wrong thing, right? And they're being taught by people that don't understand the law, right? I am a lay person in the law. If there's anyone out there listening to this, and in particular if you're British, right, you need to understand this, right? The person who stopped slavery was a guy called Granville Sharp. In fact, his book is behind me, right? Granville Sharp was a layperson. When he stood up against the Chief Justice, who was Lord Mansfield had already extrajudicially opined, right? So given an opinion that slavery was lawful, right? The Attorney General at the time in 1772 and the Solicitor General at the same time, different people, right? Legal fictions, right? They had all opined that slavery was lawful. Granville Sharp went, He was a layperson, but he'd read the law. He copped hold of a barrister, and he sat a barrister down and he said, right, this is the law. And told him and said it's never been lawful to be a slave in England. It's illegal. In fact, it's always been unlawful, right? You can be a villain, right? A villain, which means you're tied to the land, but that is not the same as being a slave, right? And you've still got rights, right? This is crucially important. What am I trying to tell you? Throughout our history, it has been lay people that have stood up and said, that's bollocks, right? The problem we've got is they have isolated and created a monopoly, right? The judiciary and the legal system, unlawfully, in my opinion, have created a monopoly so you can't get your voice. The only way you can get your voice heard is if you yourself stand up and deliver the law to a judge and ask for judgment, right? I can't do it for you. I can only do it in specific cases. And the likelihood is, after this Friday, they're going to knock me out, right? That's the truth. I think they're going full out to call me out, right? So you need to stand up. If you are, truthfully, interested. So I'm going to say this to everyone out there. Instead of coming back with nonsense, especially about your birth certificate, right? I've got my birth certificate's over there, right? It's a very old document. It's the original, right? if anyone says to me, yeah, well, you can't stand. It's not evidence of identity or whatever, right? If you apply for a passport, there's a specific thing that you have to do. Does anyone know what it is? You can't use a member of your family, but you have to have a photograph of you, and on the back it is signed, and it has to be by someone who has got a profession, a degree, right, or is a director of a company where they've already stated. But basically, you're signing on the back, and you make a declaration that I have known this person, and you name the person for 2 years, for more than 2 years, or is it 10 years? I think it's 2 years, right? And they're making that declaration that they know who you are. And then you have to put some supporting evidence, maybe your birth certificate or whatever. But the declaration is crucial. If you don't make that declaration on the back of that photograph, certifying who that person is, right, you don't get your passport. A different story about whether you can travel with a passport or not. And I'm not suggesting anything others, but I do need to know that, right? So I am now going to piss off. So I will be tomorrow travelling to Thetford. Funny enough, I'm going to go and have a look and see how long it's going to take me. And then I'm going to go up there. So I need to set the little frame up, put the banners up, do everything that we need to do. And that's it. So I'm just saying that. Well, it's a 10-year-old. I don't know what that means. Just before I say anything else, right? If anyone knows about the story about Charlie Bronson, the man who spent most of his life in prison, I want you to understand something, right? He stood in court a long time ago, and they asked him to give his name, right? He was about to be convicted of a crime. And he said Charlie Bronson. And that Charlie Bronson name has stuck with him all the way through. And again, his identity had now been changed, right? His real name is Michael, I think it's Peterson or something like that, right? So when people start talking about, I'm not this person, just think about Charlie Bronson. It's what's relevant is, did you commit the crime, right? No one gives a fuck what name you give, right? If you stood in court, and I'm going to be very explicit here, right? I want you to know this. Don't forget, I've met Charlie Bronson, right, or Mick, right? I want you to understand this, right? If you stand up and say, my name is Cunt, they will say, Mr. Cunt, we are now sending you to prison for X, right? And you're going down them stairs and into prison, right? People who are waving a birth certificate and saying, here is my legal fiction, they'll just say, right, we've got evidence that you did this, right? We don't care what you call yourself in this court. We've got evidence you did that. And you've got options. Shut your mouth and not say nothing, right? Demand a jury or various other things. But I am absolutely telling you to wave a fucking bit of paper and say, this is a legal fiction, it's not me. But you have committed that crime and you're trying to get out of it, right? They're not going to tolerate it. And anyone who tells you different is lying to you, right? And if you think I'm talking bullshit, go and ask Charlie Bronson. Tony Blair used another name, ended up ruling the world. Yeah, he did. Tony Blair is another one who made up names for criminals whilst he was charged criminally. So all I'm doing is telling you the truth. Excuse my language, and I will see you Friday and Saturday. Tomorrow night I'll be doing a live, probably off my phone, so it might go on to the other channel because there are 2 channels on here. I will try and make it broadcast on here, but I don't know if it will. That's it. Good night. God bless. I will say, don't forget what I believe in. The Constitution is the solution. The only people that can start pushing that out there now is you. America, as I see it, are taking back America constitutionally. I do think there's something very strange going on where Trump is coming over to speak to the King of England. I can tell you there's a lot of skullduggery that's gone on where the military intelligence are attacking America, and I don't think Trump's tolerating it, right? And I think he's coming over directly to speak to the King of England and say to him, you are the head of state, it is your responsibility, end of. He might have let Queen Elizabeth get away with it, but I don't think he's going to allow King Charles to get away with it. And it is a legal fiction, so the actual crime passes to the next person. Does everyone understand that? Night, night. All the constitutionalists is the solution. Neil 56. Good night. God bless everyone. I am now going to say au revoir. Let me see if I can bring up my just so you can see me. I will bring that up and put that over. That's it. I'm off. Tiddly poo.